When you mentioned OPA 90, which is the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, which was passed in response to the Exxon Valdez spill, which called for a greater level of contingency planning, and it also gave the government more authority to, in a sense, kind of run emergency response activities if there is a breakdown on the part of the contractor. Do you think that it is good for the federal regulators to have more oversight during response activities?
Well, I think the agency should be more involved in the training exercises that we do every year and annually and semi-annually, whatever. That's where I think they should really be involved. I think they need to stand shoulder to shoulder with the industry in those exercises so they learn how to work together more efficiently, understand each other a little better, and then when the actual incident occurs, I really don't think that the agency should be more heavily involved. I think they should leave it to the experts, let us do our job, but they need to be there and train with us so we can interact better together. So I think the way it should be, and that's my view on it.
And that would make sense. I know that things never run according to plan,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Especially when you've never been around it, and I would think that industry probably is responding to more of these than government agencies.
Exactly. And one other thing, I would like for the agency, when they come into an incident like that, to be more involved in the ICS structure, in the planning areas, and also in the areas where they could help us, obtain more resources, because that's where I think we could really use their help and support more so than actually on the front lines, with the spill stuff. So.
And that's a very good point. So, one of the things that they did after the Exxon Valdez spill is washing these shorelines with hot water after it had spread throughout the sound and during this remediation phase. That was proven to actually be more detrimental to the environment than leaving the crude oil alone and letting it naturally attenuate itself out over time. Are you familiar with the bioattenuation process of crude oil in remediation, and can you explain that to us?
Yeah, we use it. Bioremediation is really just the enhancement of the bacteria inherent in the crude oil, and the mechanics of that is the mechanism is the microbes mediating, and actually you can enhance it or accelerate it by adding oxygen or other nutrients, but it basically just degrades the crude oil back to carbon dioxide and water. It's really actually biodegradation, but in other words, it's very efficient. Or actually, bottom line is, or in the long run, the crude oil will actually heal itself, or the environment, the soil will actually heal itself. Crude oil or petroleum is actually rock oil. Petroleum stands for petro meaning rock in Latin, and oleum meaning oil, but it's rock oil. It's from the ground, and left alone, it will go back to the earth, back to the ground, and go back to its natural state. So bioremediation is a very good way to do it. I mean, initially, like I say, you can accelerate it, till the soil. There's other things you can do to speed it up a little bit, but it's a good way to do it. And although the soil may be darkened or stained or something like that, eventually that will go away, and the earth will return to its natural state. And 99% out of the time, it's even healthier or better than it was to start with. So it's a good way to do it.
And that would make sense. Overall, what you consider one of the most important lessons that can be learned from the Exxon Valdez spill?
I think the most important lesson that came out of the Valdez incident was that it opened up everybody's eyes for the need to have a good response plan in place. And the confusion that went on between the agencies and the responsible parties, it really brought that out. And now we do have those plans, and since we've initiated those plans, OPA 90 and all that stuff, it's proven itself. I mean, there's been other incidents later, barge incidents, other tanker incidents, and they've been contained, and it's prevented, such a disaster as Valdez. So I think that's primary. The other good things that came out of that incident was the double hull requirement for tankers, and also the requirement for tankers to have boom on board the ship.
On the ship itself.
So in case they do, by some fluke spill, they can actually contain it right at that time instead of having to wait for a response team. So
that's a very important point.
Yeah.
That was one thing that didn't happen here. They were supposed to have boom there within 5.5 hours, and that never did happen. So
lack of planning.
Lack of planning. So planning is the key.
I think so. I think that's what we do. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. I appreciate your time for the interview, Wayne. You've been very helpful throughout the entire research project. So I thank you very much.
You've done a good job. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.